welcome to another episode of Zantastic. This is the podcast where we find out what makes you fantastic. I'm going to tell you a story. Many years ago, I was a speaker at an event, and it was in a downtown area. There was a short distance walk from the hotel where people were staying and the venue where everybody was congregating. And on the walk back, one of my colleagues came across somebody who was in trouble. They were lying on the ground and something was severely wrong with them. And all these people were walking by this person who obviously needed help. My colleague helped that person, and I was sort of in the security mindset. I was working at a security company. I was giving a security presentation. So I was thinking about security. And I realized that when people are not feeling secure, when they don't feel safe, they don't make good decisions in their life. They can't make good decisions. They are not living in their peak state. They are not living in a place where they feel safe to take a risk. They are all about risk management. They are living in a more of a away from kind of mode rather than living in towards. They are not living their best life. Think about it. If you lose your job, what do you do? If you are having financial difficulties, what do? You start shutting down. And what you start doing is seeking certainty, seeking security. You start making decisions based on what you believe is going to keep you safe, because you are seeking for certainty and security outside of yourself. You end up neglecting the core part of yourself that is your gift to the world. You end up neglecting your soul, your spirit, who you really are, because you become so focused on the external world and keeping yourself safe in this world that can be scary. I mean, things happen. I went through similar experience when my husband, Mark, had a stroke. All of a sudden, everything became my responsibility, including taking care of him. So I had all of these new demands on my life, these new things that I had to deal with, and I went into a state of feeling insecure. So everything in my life started seeking certainty, seeking for things that I knew were going to keep me safe. I stayed in a job longer than I should have because of the money, because I needed the security, because I needed something that kept me feeling safe. Here's the thing. Once you start turning that on its tail, once you start finding security where security only exists within yourself, then the certainty on the outside reflects that back. But it is such a temptation, and society and all of these rules in our life teach us that we need to do certain things and stay safe, be risk averse. Don't go skydiving because it's a big scary thing. Because we start overvaluing this external certainty because we don't have internal certainty. When you find internal certainty, however, when you find that surety of you knowing who you are, knowing what your gift is to the world, knowing that you are the CEO of your life, that you are the leader, when you start feeling that certainty within you, everything else changes. The problem is we have some core beliefs that we inherited from experiences when we were very young. These core beliefs tend to be around self-worth. So many of us have these core beliefs of not feeling good enough, of not feeling up to the challenge, not feeling worthy. And when we don't feel worthy, we start looking for ways to sort of prop up this vision or this belief of worthiness instead of feeling that core value of worthiness within ourselves. The problem is there's nothing really that inspires you to change. Everything seems to just force you more into looking for external certainty rather than turning within. The demands get bigger. You take on a second job for more money. You start doing all of these things in order to feel more secure. But when you start feeling secure, then all of those other things kind of go away. Their importance diminishes because you put the importance on who you are. Now, the problem is we don't change until we have a painful situation. Think about it. When you have something going on in your life, let's say you eat too much chocolate, or in my case, you eat too many scones. you don't make a change until pain happens. With that particular issue, I had my pain last year. I had my pain 2 years ago. I actually took my blood sugar. I was gestationally diabetic with both of the kids. And so I knew that blood sugar was going to be an issue for me, but I was under so much stress. And I needed to calm down the emotions that were trying to tell me to change. So in order to do that, I turned to scones. They're delicious and wonderful. I was eating a lot of baked goods in order to just kind of keep myself calm. But my blood sugar, on an intuitive hit, I just took it one morning, and my blood sugar was well into the 300s. And so I stopped eating carbs immediately. That pain of knowing that my blood sugar was now in a place where it was actually doing damage to organs. Anything over 300 is super bad. So I stopped eating carbs altogether. That pain pushed me. The thing is, sometimes we have to create pain for ourselves in order to make ourselves move. If there's something that you want in your life right now, whether it is health related, career related, financially related, whatever it is, the only way that you're going to get at the underlying belief and change it is to really imagine the pain. Go to the place where you understand that pain is coming. Because if you are in a place where you are feeling fear, anxiety, self-worth issues, there is a consequence. Tony Robbins says that every belief has a consequence. The thing is, you just have to imagine what those consequences are. You not only have to imagine it, you have to feel it. You have to go to the place of what happens if this continues on for another 5 years? What happens if this continues on 10 years, 20 years, if you're even still around? When you go there and you really feel for a moment what that pain is like, everything changes, everything shifts, it stops. You know, they used to do this with like smoking cessation, right? Back in the 70s and 80s, where it was tough love and you lock somebody in a room and you make them smoke as many cigarettes until they're sick to their stomach. It probably happened to you without even trying at some point. Maybe you drank too much gin at one point and you realized that you never want to taste gin or scotch or whatever it was ever again. You have felt pain that bad before. You just have to realize the brick wall that you're driving into if you don't change. That brick wall is the pain. And here's the thing, your mind is a beautiful visualization tool. Think about this right now. Close your eyes. And I want you to imagine a lemon in front of you. Now, cut that lemon open. Just imagine you're cutting it. And take part of it and bring it up to your mouth. I'm just speaking these words. I'm trying not to see it so my mouth doesn't water. Although with this windstorm that's happening in Dallas right now, I need a little moisture in my mouth. It's so dry. What happened as you imagine biting into that lemon or just even putting it close to your mouth? Did your mouth start watering? Your mind is an amazing tool. It's a terrible master, but it's a wonderful tool. Use it to visualize what pain could be. Doesn't mean that you're manifesting it. No. You're manifesting an experience for a moment in order to feel what you need to feel, in order to understand the ramifications, the consequences of the decision you make when you eat too many scones, when you don't make the decision to start that business, when you don't end the relationship that's making you miserable. Whatever is going on in your life right now, and we all have problems, right? It's the signpost that we are alive. When you are alive, you have problems. It is a gift. It's a gift usually to wake you up to what's causing it. Now, usually the signposts of our life are our emotions and our thoughts. You think a thought, maybe it's a fearful thought, maybe it's a thought about the problems that you have, and you have emotions associated. Those emotions trace back to a thought, and those trace back to a belief. What is the core belief? When you understand what that core belief is, you can start replacing it with something else. But you're not going to actually embody that core belief until you feel pain. So you have to really imagine what the consequences of holding on to that belief is or are. When you imagine what the consequences long term of never starting that business, of staying in that abusive relationship until the end of time, of staying in that job that's unfulfilling until you retire. If you get to the point that I got to, where you say, this stops here, this cannot continue, I'm done, I am in control of this, I am the leader of my life, and this stops here. It stops now. The BS stops now. When you can get to that point with the pain, and you can actually feel it, even for a moment, then you choose a new belief. You choose a new program to run on the operating system of you. And when you choose a new belief, you have different thoughts. It'll shift everything. It's an interesting process, and maybe not a process you want to go through by yourself. If you need help going through belief shifting, I'm more than happy to walk you through it. Just reach out to me at Kathy@Zant.com. I would be happy to walk you through that. But what you have on the other side of letting go of negative beliefs is freedom. You have your real core self. And that real core self is your certainty. It is your security. It is the place where you are peak self. I had this experience last week where I was talking with my therapist. Yes, I am in therapy. I probably don't need it, but I'll let Spirit decide that because I keep having insights and growth. Now it's not solving problems. Now it is growth. And it's a highly beneficial process. And I was talking about how I was really having a lot of emotions around missing Mark. And I had remembered in that conversation a picture that I had taken of him probably 11 years ago when he had his first real blood pressure scare. He had gotten to the point of fear of what happens if I continue to not take care of myself. And he had made some drastic changes in his life so that he could be healthier and happier. And he was so happy. I took a picture as we were walking through a meadow near our house in Mount Shasta. And in this picture, he's so alive. His vibrancy and his life force is just so present. It's my favorite picture of him. I posted it on Facebook and Instagram if you want to go see it. It was peak Mark. And I was telling my therapist, I miss this Mark. I miss this Mark. And then the question, what does peak Kathy look like? Well, there's a question for you. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I was really kind of floored by that question. But I feel like through self-exploration and through an experience that I recently had, I have found a little glimpse of what peak Kathy is. And it's not something I have to step into. Actually, it's something I'm stepping back from. I'm stepping back from stories that I had been telling myself about my self-worth and other things. And I step away from the BS, the thoughts, the worries, the fear, the seeking certainty and security. And I stepped back into true security. It has changed every moment of my life going through that process. I went through that process, and the next day I woke up feeling like a completely different person. And in the days that followed that process, I am finding more and more certainty within myself, more and more security within myself, less fear. All of the beliefs and the BS that were running my life, the thoughts, the beliefs, they're all gone. They really are. I have let them all go. And I've replaced them with other things that are much more empowering. But it has shifted my perspective and shifted my entire thought process. Instead of seeking security and, I have to do these things and this mad rush in order to keep everything okay, because everything's riding on me. I mean, when I get to the pain point of my life right now in managing a stroke patient and being a single mom, 4 animals that need me, a big, huge house that I need to take care of. All of these things that are demands on my time that can, in that fear state, feel overwhelming. It all went away. And things just start getting solved on their own. My reality is reflecting back to me my certainty, because the certainty that I have is now within me. It is now at my core. And every single morning now, I anchor back into that. I go into states where I feel it and remember what the real belief is, what the real power is, what my real values are, that I want to focus more on love and empowerment and giving back and less on making sure everything's okay and being in a frantic state, trying to make sure everything is okay. Boy, I've tortured myself through this. Think about it logically, and my life is complicated. I've got a lot going on, and I'm managing it. I'm managing it so well I surprise myself. And just in the past few days, things are getting solved that have been weighing on my mind on their own, easily. I can't explain it, but I know it is a reflection of a change within me. That change can happen to you too. You don't have to seek security. You don't have to seek certainty. You don't have to go out into the world and make sure everything is okay or change yourself into something that you are not, because you were created in the image of a creator. You were created in the image of perfection. Underneath all of the stories that you tell yourself is a person who is perfect, just as you are. Now, you might be like me. You might be very hard on yourself. You may have extremely high standards. I know I do. I'm not going to sit back and go back into safety mode. I need to grow, because growth is life. You're either growing or you're dying. And there's different cycles in your life where you are either growing or resting or cutting away things that no longer serve you. But if you want to experience peak you have to grow. But you have to grow unencumbered by the beliefs and the negative situations. You have allowed these things to imprison you, to enslave you. And I'd like to see you free. And once again, I'll just let you know that I'd be willing to talk to you. You can set up a half-hour conversation with me. I'll have a link down below in the video on YouTube, or you can go to zantastic.me and just write me. I will write you back, and I'll answer any questions you have. If you are going through something painful in your life, it's time to let it go. Think about that situation that happened at that event where my colleague found somebody who needed help and everybody else was walking by. Everybody else was wrapped up in their own pain. They were unable to help. They almost couldn't even see that help was needed. You can't be of service to the world, to the people in your life, to situations that require your care and your involvement if you are not feeling secure yourself. You need to let go of all of the blocks that are within you in order to really bring your message, your service, your whole self to the world. If you're afraid of your future, of what it might look like if you continue on this path, if you don't want to live like this another day, I'm here to help. I don't know if I can fully help, but I have resources that can help if I can't. So hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. And with Buggy, my cat's final meow, that'll be the end of Zantastic episode 12. I'm glad you're here. Next week, I have a special guest with me. I am excited to introduce you to her. I was kind of taking the podcast in more of a marketing direction, but I changed. And so the podcast is going to change along with me. We're going to talk more about stuff like this, and I'm excited about it. And if you are, I'd love to hear from you. Just give me a like, thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube if that's your thing, or just say hi. I'm happy to be here for you, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.